On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1987. We're going to be taking a look at Roy Orbison, and he's going to be singing I Drove All Night. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, let's get Roy and his voice up on screen. A lot of people might know this from Cyndi Lauper's version that she released in the 90s, 1992, I believe, but Roy recorded his version in 1987, and it was originally intended for him. It was Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly who wrote this song, but it just so happened that he recorded it and then it wasn't released, and yeah, Cyndi had a huge hit with this in the UK and the USA, but let's jump into it, and I've isolated the vocal as always, run it through the pitch monitoring software so we can take a look at Roy's voice as well as hearing it, but let's jump into it.
I had to escape, the city was sticky and cruel. Maybe I should have called you first, but I was dying to get to you. I was dreaming while I drove the long straight road ahead. Yeah. Could taste your sweet kisses, your arms open wide. This fever for you was just burning me up inside. I drove all night to get to you. Is that alright? I drove all night, crept in your room, woke you from your sleep to make love to you. Is that alright? I drove all night. What in this world keeps us from falling apart? No matter where I go, I hear the beating of our one heart. I think about you when the night is cold and dark. Yeah. No one can move me the way that you do. Nothing erases this feeling between me and you. I drove all night to get to you. Is that alright? I drove all night, crept in your room, woke you from your sleep to make love to you. Is that alright?
I'm just going to jump in here. As always, there's a link in the description below if you want to watch it the whole way through. I say watch it, just listen to it the whole way through. And for reference, on that original video, the sound is a little bit muffled, so I have EQ'd it for this video to just brighten up the top end a little bit to make Roy's voice and just the instrumentation a little bit brighter, because it sounded a little bit like you're listening through a sock on that original video. But I mean, we know Roy's voice is just on a totally different level with his tone. I mean, it's so unique, you just know his voice straight away. But I mean, this is a great song as well. I mean, look at this vibrato, and the pitch accuracy that Roy had was off the charts, and this just shows you how consistent his vibrato is. And I know that I've done this before, but let's listen to this in slow motion to hear all of these waves coming through. And he's got that ability to use that vibrato and have that and then it'll just go straight with his voice as well. But let me just take this back, because this is a passage that we've got to take a look at. the song, it's a great song, great composition, but you need the vocal ability to be able to sing this song in the first place. And range is certainly a thing you're going to need for this, because this little run-up before the chorus, is great. Have a listen.
Can move me the way that you do. Nothing erases this feeling between me and you. I drove all night.
I mean, it just sets up the chorus perfectly. But like I say, this range that you're going to need to have in order to sing this, we've gone from this F3 and we'll go all the way up to the top, and you can see we actually go to the G4 before then coming down to the F4. So we've gone over an octave there just in this one vocal phrase. The other thing to listen out for is the breath management going on. Have a listen to this.
No one can move me the way that you do.
Then we have a breath and na 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 breath.
Nothing erases this feeling between me and you.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was all in one breath. Let me just check that.
Nothing erases this feeling between me and you.
So, and by the way, you can ignore this. This is just harmonics that it's picking up at an octave higher. But not only do you need the range, you need to be able to control your airflow so that you're singing this whole phrase from beginning to end and leave enough air to hold the note, vibrato, and go into that straight note with expression at the end as well. So, I mean, you can actually see here on the pitch monitoring software where that breath happened. I mean, it might be interesting at some point to compare this with Cyndi Lauper's version, because this seems like a lot more of a band song, having the guitar driving forward there with the Gallops, and Cyndi's seemed a little bit more produced. Having said that, with this particular song, in that pre-chorus where we do have this build-up that we were just talking about, we have these strings that come in. Because if you listen to the guitar's just playing the same chords, and the guitar isn't actually ascending with those chords as in, playing a different version of the chords. So that, say for example, playing in another shape. So you play your chord to begin with, you then play your second chord, and then the third chord that you played would be the same as the first chord but a higher voicing. So you at least get a little bit of a journey with the chords. We don't have that with the guitar. So this is why it's essential that we have something that's going up with the voice. And in this case, it's the strings. Have a listen.
No one can move me the way that you do. Nothing erases this feeling between me and you.
It's such a great blend of the vocal and those strings that come in. I say strings, it sounds like it might be keys that are doing that with a string sound, but we'll jump into the song and listen to it until the end.
Is that alright? I drove all kisses, your arms open wide. This fever for you is just burning me up
And there we have it, to fade out. So, I mean, there is so much in there where we have that passage, and I'm going to take it back, Roy's range that I mentioned. I've just got the piano up on screen, so at least we have some kind of reference for where this A sharp 4 is. And when I said above the male tenor range, we can see here the A4, so just a semitone above that, we have the A sharp 4. So, I mean, massively impressive, but just great to listen to, considering that, again, it's coming at the end of this run. Have a listen again.
Good taste, two sweet kisses, your arms open wide. This fever for you is just burning me up inside.
And interestingly there, you could hear that Roy took a breath at the same place that he did before.
Two sweet kisses, your arms open wide.
There, very quickly.
This fever for you.
Tell you what, we've got the isolated vocal, so why don't we just listen to that? Let's take down the instrumentation.
Good taste, two sweet kisses, your arms open wide. This fever for you is just burning me up inside.
And just after up, he then takes a breath for this. So, I mean, just look at this on the pitch monitoring software. Just this range where it just keeps on going up and up and up and up and up and up. And then just when you think, you know, you're going to be at the top here, you know, he throws in the A sharp 4, which is just crazy at the end of that run, because we've started down here at the E3. So if we're going over to our piano, when we've got the E3, that's going to be here. So when we start pointing out the E3 and going all the way up to the A sharp 4, you can see the amount of, and this isn't the whole song that he's covered this range in. He's covering this range in one vocal phrase where he's just taking a couple of breaths between these notes. The composition is great, this melody is great, but like I said, you've got to have the ability to do this.
Taste two sweet kisses, your arms open wide. This fever for you is just burning me up inside.
So here, inside, you know, that, because you've started an octave lower, over an octave lower than that, that would normally be the note that most singers would hear. Then from nowhere, it's that. Yeah. And this is the point that when he does it, it doesn't sound like that, where I go, and kind of open up. He kind of goes, like that. It's still just totally under control. And I mean, in order for me to do that, I mean, there's a high note, it's an A sharp 4, and we're not going, you know, we're not doing it in a light way. In order to get that, I really have to concentrate on, you know, lowering my larynx to get a consistent vocal sound from kind of like that. So those two notes tonally are relatively similar. But this is the thing with Roy's voice. He has this tonal consistency, and he wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, because I learn't to sing. I have to think about all the things to try and get my voice and vocal cords to do what I want them to do, which, yeah, is just a whole another thing entirely. But when you're talking about Roy, the fact that he's doing this naturally, that's what I mean about airflow, control, and the way that he accesses notes in his range. There's never seemingly a ceiling.
Even for you is it burning me up inside.
I mean, if you are analysing it in real detail, it does sound like it goes a little bit like that. Like that. And this is the other thing. What makes it Roy Orbison is his vibrato, because he goes, and he's got that wobble in there. Even that, getting the speed that Roy does it is difficult to try and emulate, because it's just in his sound all the time. He's not going hitting a note and then applying vibrato. He's got it in there immediately. So this is it, that hopefully you start to get a bit of an understanding just with what I'm having to do to try and not get this sound, because I can't get this sound because it's Roy Orbison, but all the things that when you analyse it are in his voice, and you think, well, how am I going to put all this together if I want to sing like Roy Orbison? Because first of all, you need the range. Second of all, you need the pitch accuracy. You've got to be able to hit the notes. Third of all, you've got to be able to vibrato in every single note as you ascend. And yeah, you've got to cover over an octave within one vocal run. So yeah, thankfully we can just sit back and appreciate this. Listen to this.
I drove all night.
So, in that, obviously you've got Roy's voice just being really accurate, which it has to be, because he's singing, you know, here. So we're starting on the D minor, and we're going. It might go to the C at the end, but hopefully you heard there. I should have taken a bigger breath. Again, that's the thing about Roy. He'll just keep this note going endlessly. I'm just going to show you now the chords and the fact that, you know, we've got a note from this first chord, the D minor, in our melody. But then we have a chord change, and that note is still in this second chord. So when we have, that's why that works. And when we now go down to, we've now got next chord. We've still got the same note. So that's what I mean about the chord progression changing, but the melody staying the same, or at least the note that the melody is holding staying the same. It just sounds great. Deep breath before you start is going to be essential. Obviously, you don't want to do that when you're singing and connect your vocal cords when you breathe in, but having that goes into, yeah, I think guitar solo. So, as I said, great composition, but I love that kind of thing. I want to point out the rhythm that we've got going on being a gallop, and I mean, it would be fine just doing downstrokes, but I mean, have a listen to it.
I had to escape, the city was ticking and cruel.
So, I mean, it is subtle, but we can go to the F here. And rather than having, rather than just doing those downstrokes, which would be fine, like I said, we've got gallops. So the gallops are not down, 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 down. We have down, down, up. There's an upstroke in there. And gallops always push things forward, and they make it sound like it's faster, because it's exactly what it sounds like, a gallop. It's like a horse galloping. So once you start applying that down, down, up, down, you know, it'll start to move things along. And it's something actually that a lot of bands in the 70s and the 80s and heavier genres like metal, you know, and heavy metal, they would put in gallops to get things driving along. Obviously, it wouldn't be on a clean tone. It would have a lot of distortion on there. But it's that same thing of, you know, getting things moving along I mean, it starts to sound, you know, kind of instantly Iron Maiden. It's that kind of thing once you start putting in that gallop. But anyway, this is what they're using in order to get this to sound, or at least give the song its personality rhythmically. If it was just doing lots of downstrokes, it would be too regimented. It would be like plodding along too much. So a great song here. Just, I mean, a crazy good voice, of course, but a really interesting one to take a look at as well. Not only instrumentally, but just looking at Roy's voice on screen is always a treat. Thank you guys for requesting this particular song for me to take a look at. Keep those suggestions and requests coming in the comment section below, and let me know what you guys think. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!